of Citizencon. I'm not going to try for quite as much wall-to-wall coverage as I did yesterday, and hopefully in the result preserve my battery life. Things today, the hall is just as nice, but a lot less hectic than yesterday. The line at the merch booth is only about 50 or 60 people. The line at the Dragonfly is only a few dozen people. Behind me, in the Pyro playground, all the seats are filled, but the line is relatively short. So if you didn't get a chance yesterday to jump in and get a chance to play around with Pyro, I'm not sure whether I will, or if I do, I certainly probably will not try to hack a live stream of it like I did yesterday. My impression of Pyro yesterday was that the settings were absolutely gorgeous. I mean, Checkmate Station was a very interesting place to crawl around in, and a lot more Jeffries tubes and tunnels and little things to poke around in. But everyone's looking forward to today with the question of how are they going to top it. Clearly they plan that you always would plan that day two is going to not be a letdown from day one, and day one was very exciting, particularly the things they said about the star map, the things they showed about engineering play. They did show it more in-game. That technical tour de force, the massive technical flex of that first presentation where they went through all the technology that they have currently and are coming out with in the future, the new improvements to cloud tech and lighting and the water tech. I found the water tech particularly thrilling to watch. And they had the announcement of new ships. Now, I did a little research on the new ships, and there's an interesting opportunity there, a short-term one. Whenever CIG is selling a ship that is not immediately flyable, the first thing you should do is check the loaner matrix. And the loaner matrix on the Zeus, all three of them, is the Spirit A1. So that tells you two things. First of all, it means that CIG's internal thinking is that the entire Zeus series is most comparable to the Spirit. When I was ruminating on it last night, I was more comparing it to an upscaled version of the Cutlass rather than a downscaled version of the Spirit. But clearly, CIG is seeing the direct one-to-one comparison being the Spirit, and since the only Spirit is available is the A1, the most expensive one, they're making that the loaner for all three of the Zeus series. So you can spend 135 war bond on the Zeus and get the LTI Crusader Spirit A1 bomber in the meantime. Now, I suspect that the minute that the C1 becomes available, which looks like it's going to be the next of the Spirit series ships, that they will switch the loaner so that the loaner becomes the C1 instead of the A1, which is actually much more reasonable and closer in price, but even not closer in price to the lowest end Zeus. But that will give you a couple months at a great discount to play around with the A1. And I believe a couple months is going to be all you'll need to either fall in love with the A1 or become completely bored with it. In which case you just say, hey, lesson learned. So really consider that possibility. Buying the Zeus for the partial purpose of having the A1 to play around with, and if you don't like either of them, it still becomes a relatively inexpensive LTI token. As for the new cutter, I did play around with it a little bit in Pyro until we see more about what the new scanning mechanism actually does. I see no reason to get it over the regular cutter other than it's on sale right now, a plus, and other than right now, you get it with LTI. So it's you can have it and have it as an LTI token, and it's not a bad ship on its own. But until we see what the new scanning mechanism for do, there's no primary reason to give up a little bit of storage space just to get a non-functioning console, which is really what the scanning console is right now. But the Cutter is going to be a great LTI token and a good ship just to play around with in the meantime. And the Zeus, I see the real competitors of the Zeus as being an upscaled version of, for all the people that love the Cutlass but don't like the Drake style. The basic Zeus is going to be a do-everything kind of ship for 3 people with a better vehicle handling than the Cutlass. The Zeus has a wide enough ramp to get a full rover on board, whereas the Cutlass only can get buggies in board. So for a little bit more than a Cutlass Black, you get similar firepower, crew for 3, just the same, and slightly larger cargo handling, and the ability to wheel up full-size rovers. So I think that's, for people that aren't Drake lovers in particular, that the Zeus Basic is going to file the same niche, and that will, I think, possibly will have the same kind of love as the Cutlass Black does. The larger Cutlass, the larger Zeus, is going to be probably a more direct competitor to the Freelancer Max. And the main reason one would get the between those two, the Freelancer Max has a smaller footprint, and so that would be its advantage. The advantage of the Zeus over the Freelancer Max, even though it stores a little bit less, it'll be able to load it easily. As you know, the Freelancer has that, to get its full cargo, you have that little area up front, which is a real nuisance to try to get boxes into, because they have to go through the door. The Zeus has a much broader, wider, freeloading cargo area, and so as we have to start loading our own cargo in many situations, you're going to be seeing the Zeus's ease at loading become a factor. That's a factor we really haven't had to consider much with ships, cargo ships, but it's going to become quite paramount, is the ease of loading factor. And then the largest of the Bounty Hunter version of the Zeus obviously is going to be a direct competitor to the Cutlass Blue and the Mantis. And the fact that the Zeus Bounty Hunter version has 3 medium shields, 3 size 2 shields. I'm not sure exactly how that fits in terms of the descriptions. 3 size 2 shields is going to make it very beefy. And in fact, returning to my previous thought, the basic Zeus with 4 medium shields is going to be a much tankier alternative than anything in the Drake line. Drakes are known for not being tanky at all. So someone who is discouraged by the lack of durability on the Cutlass Black might very well switch to the Zeus Basic. But honestly, I don't see much of a downside from switching from a Cutlass Blue to the Zeus Bounty Hunter. You get the ability to store cargo, you get the ability to store bounties, you get beefier shields, and you get the same crew of 3. And you don't have to have a Mantis along for the ride, because from their description, you get both the quantum interdiction and the EMP. So it's a much more of a Swiss Army knife for bounty hunters. So I see both the Mantis and the Cutlass Blue being kind of pirated by that. And said there would be a rebalance for other ships. Well, the thing is, unless they start to have some size 2 shields be better than other size 2 shields, which seems kind of hokey, they are not going to, size 2 shield should be able to do the same stats in one ship as it does in any other. So, what are my thoughts about what they're going to reveal in the next show? What's the title of the next show? Because I know is the next show the Life in the Verse sort of thing? Let me pull out my schedule here and see, so I'm not confused by which of today's shows is the next one. Character advancement. Oh, character advancement. Hopefully, there were a few things they sort of showed on the previous on the opening thing that they said they were going to talk about those things, but didn't actually talk about. And one of those was the tattoos. You notice they made a big deal. There was a lot of cheering when they showed the one character with tatted body arms, had tatted sleeves, but they never said anything more about adding character tattoos. They talked a little bit about new hair, but they didn't talk anything about whether that was actually going to get implemented in the character editor. They also talked about deformable cloth. Now, supposedly, one of the things that deformable cloth would allow you to do is to have body type modifications, in the sense of having a heavier or a thinner character, and then have the clothes fit on them. So that might allow us to see us to finally have some ability to adjust the our character height proportions and whatever. Yeah, I believe that hopefully we're going to see some more hints about Squadron 42. Maybe even a general time frame for its release, such as Holiday 24 or Spring 25 or Summer 25. I don't think they'll be giving a date. They probably will be giving pre-announcement of pre-launch events, that we're going to have a summer Citizencon, let's say, or maybe they call it Squadron Con in the summer. Some sort of a fan-oriented pre-release. They'll probably talk about their process for internal beta testing and whether or not there'll be external beta testing, whether or not there will be press review copies, when those were likely going to go out. Yes, actually, I know Brian Chambers was interviewing the French streamer, but even more so, I talked last night. I didn't stream him. I talked last night with Todd Pappy. And if Brian was misquoted or misinterpreted or in any ways needed to be clarified, Todd would have had authority and ability to do so. And Todd, to me, confirmed that yes, indeed, Squadron 42 is feature complete. And we saw a number of indications of that. You may recall yesterday that they said, this is the mobiGlas you will use in Squadron 42. This is the military mobiGlas, not this is our prototype of it, this is the tier 0 of it, not this is what we've got right now on it. They said, this is it. And that's when you say when something is feature complete. They pulled up the military multi-tool and said, this is the military multi-tool that you will be using in Squadron 42. Again, no qualifier whatever. This is its current version, this is its tier 0. He said, this is it. And that's the language you use when something is feature complete. 12 months is a long time, but 12 months is also just about the sweet spot for building hype for a game. That's usually what game companies target. They target a year right after 1 year's holiday sales, they will start promoting their next year's holiday sales. So, yeah, I want to bear in mind, feature complete is not the same thing as completed. Feature complete is basically where traditionally you move the description from alpha to beta. You switch from creating features and completely concentrate on bug fixing. So hopefully all these people that had been working on features for Squadron 42 are now testing and bug fixing and bug fixing and bug fixing, polishing and polishing and polishing. Possibly even we'll see some of that polishing, cross our fingers, in the persistent universe. But it is not that the term they used to use is going gold, and that's when you burn the gold disk, and that is what's going to ship. Feature complete is not the same as gold. Feature complete is we've switched to polishing and creating something that's ready to be put on the gold disk. So things are probably still going on furiously in the development team, but nobody is saying, hey, let's do blank, or let's change blank, or let's add blank. That's what feature complete means. So generally, these terms are a little different under Agile. It used to be you would have feature complete, code frozen, gold, were your three tiers, the three big milestones. Well, actually, I haven't been 100% complete predictions, but usually with Squadron, if you actually with CIG, when you've been following them for 10 years, you understand their habits, their ways of saying things, and so really just a bit of common sense applied to the tea leaves that you're seeing. It's not hard to see what's happening. They will, if they don't announce it today, they will be dropping more major hints. By the end of the day today, I suspect we will have a lot of confidence about Squadron's eminence, that it's coming, it's ready to come. I don't know, based on the descriptions of the events. I don't think they're going to see a lot of actual Squadron content. I still suspect that there was something in that block between 4 and 6. I mean, the way they built the schedule, the way they printed it, they had something planned for that block from 4 to 6. They wouldn't have just left it blank. So I suspect they had something planned for that block, and they decided to not do it. Maybe they thought that what they had planned for that block was giving things away, or they thought that just wasn't ready to be shown. Now that might be Squadron, but it could be something else. So, for instance, they might have had an economics panel planned, but decided against it. So far, the whole subject of game economics has been very quiet here. So maybe there is something or a couple of somethings that they decided weren't up to the quality of finishing the first day, and that their strongest close on the end of the first day was actually the star map, which was a very strong close, and that the content that would have gone from 4 to 6 yesterday is probably going to be put into a Inside Star Citizen in the next quarter. Well, I don't know. If you buy a Polaris, you might be able to buy some friends too, if you have that much money. I suspect Polarises will probably be used in an org environment. If you buy a Polaris and don't belong to an org, your next step will probably be to go, find an org, go in their Discord and start to make some friends there. So far, I have actually resisted joining an org, but I think I may have found a group of people that I like their quality and may wind up joining their org. And it's for a relatively simple reason. I wanted to have a certain seat during the opening, and I turned around, they sat down, so I talked with them a bit, I interviewed them a bit, and then they let me have the seat and watched after my stuff while I walked away. And that's the kind of folks you want to have as your friends in the game. Someone who will watch after your stuff. Again, things are kind of quiet here. If you want to, there is a line, but probably no more than a 30 or 40 minute line based on how things moved yesterday, maybe even less. So if you do want to get here a little, if you are in the convention, this is still a good idea, good time slot to get into and try your hand at pyro. I suspect that there won't be very long after the closing ceremony. The hall closes less than a half hour after that, and so your big block of times to get into and play in pyro are going to be right now and during lunch. So anyhow, I wanted to point out that as I'm somewhat required to do, that my live coverage here at Citizencon is sponsored by the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. The Tobii Eye Tracker 5 has a special 15% off deal going on right now. Plus, they're having a contest. You can earn points that will get you chances towards winning an Eye Tracker 5 or one of a number of game packages to either use to lure your friends into this trap or use yourself. The URL for that is tobii.gg/RaiseGuideCon-contest. And that'll get the details and a link for obtaining the Eye Tracker 5 and for all the different ways you can earn points towards the contest. Well, the core player base, as a core player base, game packages are still valuable to you. You may not use them right away, but eventually, remember, every one of those game packages will, at some point in time, we don't, probably after Squadron 42 gets, but they still have the plan of having those extra game packages become playable NPCs. So that you can play them yourself. You can also invite friends to guest play them. So I suspect eventually all the people that have bought multi-crew ships are going to want to have as many extra game packages as they have core crew members on the ship. So that if they need to quickly assemble a crew, they can just have the other people, instead of having to coordinate all the travel, have all those people just guest play one of their guest accounts. And of the Tops Casino, that's a joke about the Panama. Yeah. So as I said, don't discount the ability to have extra game packages. Also, they make great Christmas gifts. If nothing else, so that your family members can say, "Oh, this is that space game that you always play." I actually was visiting my grandkids and had them watch me play Star Citizen for a while. It was kind of cute. Now what are you doing? Why do we fight in this game? And I said, we fight bugs in this game. And they didn't quite understand what I was talking about. And so they kept on saying, "Grandpa, when do we get to see the bugs? When do we get to see the bugs?" And I said, "Oh, the bugs will show up eventually. Don't worry about that." Yeah, but generally you get people are very helpful. We have a very nice community, but you'll always find a few jerks. And there was recently a really it was a tough to read post on Reddit about some guy that just put up a medical rescue beacon and hoping he would get help, and instead the guy finished killing him and stole all his gear. And so he was very, very down on the community. And then honestly, that sort of thing happens. So, you need to have people will generally trust each other until they can't. And right now there isn't any way effectively to know the difference between between the Good Samaritan and the guy that's playing being the world's worst person. Griefer's gonna grief. And so helper's got to help, and the easiest way to know the difference is to have an org. I was talking with a couple of the orgs yesterday and asked them what do they most need to see as help in Star Citizen, and the answer was pretty universally in-game communications tools. I mean, different orgs have different needs, but the one need that they all seem to have is better in-game communications. You can see here the Dragonfly has a line of about 6 people. If you remember yesterday, get around here. If you remember yesterday, that line was about anywhere from 50 to 100 people. Coming around here. And the merch booth has a, I would call it maybe 200 person line, which is still noteworthy, but way shorter than yesterday's line, which went all the way around here, all the way back here, all the way over here. Now, I'm going to, for all you guys, and fortunately most of you here are guys, I'm going to show you a secret. This is a secret that only a very small number of people know, and it's the kind of secret that architects just have a knack for knowing. When you're an architect, you almost never have to ask where the bathrooms are, because they know. They understand how plumbing works, how layout works, how space works. They can immediately sense where the empty space is and its proximity to other things. So, we're going inside of the hall here. They've got the stage set up like yesterday. I'm gonna flip the camera around here so I can see what I'm showing you. All right, so there's the stage. You look to the right, and there's an opening in the curtain illuminated by projected lights. Now, this is required by code so that people know in an emergency how to exit. So you go out, and there is the exit to the main hall, exit only, but you turn to the right, and you come down here, and there is the secret men's room. Now, obviously, for privacy reasons, I'm gonna look over here. Nobody's here. It's empty. It's an empty men's room right off the show floor because nobody knows about it. And now you do. And then you just go right through the curtains here, and boom, you're back on the show floor. So, now you're an insider. You know the quickest way to duck in and out and take a leak during Citizencon. Ha ha ha. Morphologist may also be an architect, but I bet he's never told you where the best men's room is. Architects have all sorts of skills. Yes, when you have to manage both of your streams. Get up there in years and your stream gets less shaky. More shaky, I guess. Incidentally, for the few ladies, there's an identical ladies' room icon, ladies' room on the other side behind the curtains. There's actually a big men's room icon up on the wall, but nobody thinks to look there. Yeah, I went to 4 years of architecture school, so I can be always able to know exactly where to find the men's room. A skill which has become more useful over the years. Exactly. And sometimes, since I do have a university as one of my sponsors, it is interesting how education shapes you. Obviously, I went to 4 years of architecture school, and but I also, during those 4 years, was on the Cal Poly speech and debate team. Traveled all over the state, earning awards, and right now, it's hard to say which one of my college experiences I've used the most. My architecture or my ability of public speaking. It's pretty clear which one's on the in the forefront right now, but actually a little bit both. The hall is slowly filling. We should be getting, has CIG started their official stream? I was thinking I would try to continue this until CIG started their official stream. Okay. But I bet Jared Huckabee is not going to show you where the bathrooms are.
What does that mean?
You know, some of it is awareness. I have to admit that when an architect, as an architect, when you walk into a space, you immediately understand the space much more that I think an ordinary person is oblivious. So, for example, I look up, may not even show up on, and I can see the truss work, the show lighting, the HVAC. I see where they position the speakers. I see where they've done the exits. It's like in the airlines, they say, observe, or in the movie theaters, they say, observe where the exits are. If you're an architect, you've already done that. And you've looked at the light fixtures, and you've looked at everything. Here's the other backstage area here, through the gaps. And you can see there's where the secret women's room is. And actually looks like there's a secret women's room and a secret men's room over there as well. Okay, so they're just doing the preview. You know, it's really kind of funny. Asteroids was kind of the very first, I'm talking about, the arcade game where you threw the quarter in. Asteroids is probably the very first space game. And there is still something inherently exciting about flying through asteroids, whether it was in the very first Star Wars movie, the flying through asteroids, whether it was the Asteroids game on the Atari console. There is just something visceral about zooming through flying rocks. You too have fun. I'm going to be having fun here. And that is an important thing to realize. The announcement's going to get made whether you're watching it live or not. And it is actually just as exciting. But there definitely is something about being there, which is sort of what I'm, trying to convey with the walkthroughs. So what I'm looking forward to in the first is probably going to be imminent look at the new character creator. Maybe they'll try to show us the character creator from Squadron. Then I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more about how reputation is going to work in the unsettled systems. That's very important to Pyro, and it's very much the time for us to learn about it. Reputation's always been kind of there in the PU as an ability that might unlock a few missions, but otherwise is relatively unimportant. I am expecting that in Pyro, who your reputation with is going to be extremely important. It's going to unlock what missions you can take, what bases you can visit, where you can refuel, where you can resupply, where you won't get shot at. And most of the places I suspect in Pyro, you will get shot at. At least that's, weirdly enough, my hope. Then the last one is vaguely tired. I expect that this will be the big wrap-up. Maybe the big wrap-up will be a Squadron wrap-up and not a Persistent Universe big show. But it will focus on missions. So my first guess is going to be some sort of an extended chain of missions, of the new types of missions that they're talking about, with a big finale at the end. But they might sub that out and have it be talking about Squadron, and no one would actually care at all. It would be cheering even louder. So whatever it is, CIG is doing still keeping it super close to the vest as to whether or not there will be anything about Squadron today. Teasing us just enough to know that there might be, which is, of course, just the right amount if you're CIG. Thank you very much, Peter. Actually, sometimes I think I'm just here to provide you guys the light show and where the toilets are. The first actual presentation is going to be starting off at 11 Pacific time, presuming it happens on time. And so you have to do your own calculations about time zones. The web will help you obviously with that. But it's at 11 o'clock local. Doors open at 9, so right now we're in that period in between. Yesterday, CIG's official stream, other than the Asteroids, began at 10 o'clock. And so that's what that was about. There's actually some activity going on in the creator corner. I'm quite surprised. Yesterday it was pretty dead. I'm not sure I recognize that face, do you? Anything different? On the show floor, I have not seen anything that looks, other than the fact that it just isn't as crowded. Yesterday, right before the first show, this place was really actually much too crowded to actually talk with anyone specifically. Today, a lot more people have decided to sleep in. It looks like Atmo Esports is at least doing their pre-show. I don't know when their first races are going to be, but they are not yet doing their races. Corporation has had a nice booth here, but I've not seen a crowd there at all. Other orders. I've had a fair amount of activity at their booth. One of the vendors I was kind of surprised to see here, because I thought they were to be even too techy for Citizencon, was TrueNAS. I don't know if you're familiar with TrueNAS. They're a open source system for creating your own network attached storage devices, your own personal cloud storage for your local area network, which I thought would be too geeky even for Thank you.
Great job. We love following.
Do you have an empty space?
I sent stuff to your email hoping to get you. You're such a great guy, man. We gotta get you to come on.
And you guys are great guys. I'm seriously considering for one reason. You watched after my stuff on the show floor. And that's what you want in order. Someone that'll watch after your stuff. Thanks.
I hear your voice and I turn.
That voice is it.
There it is. There it is.
There he was.
Ammo Esports. If I was a couple decades younger and still had my hand-eye coordination, I'd probably be right there. Now at best, I might use him as an announcer, but they've got good announcers already. You might like to see in the game someplace for a very short time before you run the heck out of there. That's some pump. I think I just bought one of those at Home Depot. Show me where you're hanging.
I'm going to show you what. I can't put this on the actual box. For today at least, you can be on the box. John, it looks sure.
case for your multi-tool.
Maybe we find a way to sneak it in someplace else.
Props for the props team. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Yeah, they've the props team has been there designing stuff. Probably will wind up in the game. It's kind of like the live in-person version of Star Citizen Live Game Dev. So it's been a fun thing just to walk by and see what's up with what they're doing. Actually, Soul Citizens and Soul Armada. I'm not sure which one of those was the guys I was talking to yesterday. They're both good, appear to be good people. That's actually one of the things that you can tell by visiting an org in person on the show floor here is whether they got the right vibe for you. Yes, that is the actual props team. Those were CIG employees using CIG tools to build stuff. Some of which might be in the digital goodies pack. That's the neat thing about this community. This community, perhaps why I've helped find a home here, is that they love the behind the scenes thing. It is it's the natural consequence of open development. The people that aren't, that just say, I'm not interested until it's a finished game, they're not really in the right niche for Star Citizen. The Star Citizen man is as much interested in the game because it isn't yet finished, because it is still so much still being born and still growing. The fact that you have to understand what if needing to understand how server meshing works makes you appreciate the game more rather than bore you, then you really are well suited for the Star Citizen community. Yes, I'll agree with that too. We've had to endure so many bugs that it's almost an exercise in not letting the little stuff spoil your fun. And that is a trait that does why, some other people were really bothered by itty-bitty glitches in Starfield, of which there are many. But for me, it's a computer game. Of course, this guy's eventually going to run into the wall. Just, it's part of the noise rather than the sore thumb that jumps out at you and ruins your day. If our day was ruined every time someone stood on a chair in a T-pose, we'd have a pretty, troubled life. Yeah. Star Citizen is a game that, where once you learn how to play it, you are very often immediately jumping to, okay, what's the workaround? Not, oh my gosh, the game is broken. Oh, terrible. It's like, all right, what's the workaround? Which is kind of a good attitude to take to life in general. Star Citizen builds character and characters. Yeah, it's like when I first joined Star Citizen, it it was like a toddler. It wasn't yet, it was a bit beyond being a baby, but it was like a toddler. Couldn't do much, often fell down, but was cute as hell. And now it's it almost feels like it's almost ready to graduate high school. Still not an adult, but it's done a lot of growing up. Sort of server meshing and multiple systems will be its high school graduation, and then I guess we go on to college and get to see the real adult version of the persistent universe. You know, in a blue, that was interesting. Really, the F8C is a potent craft, but in its factory builds, a whole lot of its strength is in fixed weapons, a little bit in pylon weapons. Now, if the guy decided he wanted to go super muscle and went with all fixed configuration, you can beat him in a fully crewed Cutlass by having a missile operator and a turret operator. You can maintain far more sustained fire on him while he is trying to get you lined up. So you take advantage of your. This is going to be the story with the F8 a lot. Take advantage of maneuverability to get sustained fire against the F8. Also, the F8, unlike, say, the Ares, does not have a single super long range. Most of its weapons are in the size 2 and size 3 range. So if you can stay out of its maximum range and dance a lot, or get in close and dance a lot, you'll be able to get better sustained fire against it. So the people that are saying the F8C is overpowered are mostly just looking at specs. They aren't taking into account maneuverability. If you take into account maneuverability, and that also is what tells me how they're going to balance the F8C. They're going to balance the F8C with maneuverability. They aren't going to nerf the weapons, but they might make it slightly less maneuverable, and if they do that, I think it'll be balanced fine. If not, we'll just have everybody flying F8Cs, and that wouldn't be great, but it wouldn't necessarily be bad. As I said in my commentary about the F8C, I do expect the F8C to become one of the most common fighters in the universe. If it isn't now, it will be as soon as Squadron comes out, and everybody and their brother that plays Squadron, which will probably be at least 3/4, probably 7/8, or even 90% of the user base, will go ahead and play Squadron, just because they've been waiting for it for so long. And so pretty much everybody will have at least accessible to them an F8C. So they're going to want to keep it balanced, potent but balanced, just to keep the game interesting.
By the way, not only him and his team putting all this together, but great job bringing all the entertainment here to Cisco. We're going to be free, and of course, Band Director of FP Sports Band, you know that this life has been incredibly 6 years, and look, I just want you to know that up, man. Seriously, everybody, kids out, we're going to round of applause here one more time. Really appreciate it. And then last thing,
Well, in all seriousness, though, I think it's important to know that every single thing that we do, every game doesn't exist without the support that you guys are doing. I can't stress enough how impactful it is to the lives of your people. Seriously,
yeah, we can see it from back here.
It's definitely
I suspect we'll be seeing Vandal until we get to Border Worlds, and we're not anywhere near Border Worlds yet. But we will certainly be seeing a lot of them in Arena Commander. Okay, looks like Jared has started the pre-show for CIG. this is going to be my. I'm going to let you switch over to him, and then we talk to you more lunchtime. Hopefully, we have a lot more to talk about then. Anyhow, enjoy the show. And I'm going to be enjoying Citizencon, and I'll see you around about lunchtime on the schedule. Again, this my coverage of Citizencon Live is sponsored by the Tobii Eye Tracker. Again, the URL to learn about the 15% discount and the contest is tobii.gg/RaysGuideCon-contest. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond, the Rays Guide.
And if we ever gone under the radar with